Hello and welcome everyone. I welcome you all.
Okay, so shall we begin?
Right, so I think this is your first class of geography.
So, what is reminder theorem?
So the RBI comes with a bulletin.
For example, citizens also and non-citizens also. So it is clear now. So abolition of
What is a society made up of?
Just do this exam, better your life is settled.
Getting my point? So the characteristic, as you can see here, agriculture was there.
And atmosphere is made up of what? Can say it is made up of
Gaseous.
And the loans will be credited to your account. Wherever you want, you can swipe this card.
Ax plus 1 divided by A. Here 33 by 8. 33 is 32 plus 1.
It went from fact-based to substantive knowledge, which means you can only answer the question if you have understood the topic.
Was it mixed? Was it socialist? Was it communist? Was it capitalist?
Excluding food and excluding energy. Core inflation does not include.
If a parliament is making laws, here a Constituent Assembly is making laws, then it's equivalent to call it like a parliament. Clear? Any doubts up until here? Anything you don't understand? Yeah.
Writing constitution itself means creating legislative laws.
No. Today we have a constitution already planned, prepared, but still everyday laws have to be made. As in, to run a country, laws are made. That will not go into constitution. This is a one-time thing for generations to come. That laws will be for example, let's say the law with respect to agriculture. Right now, one example I'll give. Now here we have to make a constitution as to what kind of country India should be and all. Second, 1947 period of time, British has left. Okay, if British has left, which means Indians don't have to pay that much alarming amount of taxes. So now your Indian Parliament, that is your Constituent Assembly, can pass a law which states that if anyone has, lost their crops due to drought, that point of time we had famine also. Drought, they don't have to pay tax. This they had to give. But if they have to give that, we don't have one parliament. And this particular rule will not be put into constitution. This will be only for the country and for that period of time. So that is legislative laws. This is totally different, that is totally different. One more thing, understand it. People have this one confusion. In other advanced class, they asked me this question. Whatever laws that the parliament makes, even today, those will not be put into constitution. People ask, ma'am, then where will it be put in? See, we just have laws. Like, for example, if you come into this class, let's say I make a rule of this particular class telling, okay, no one should eat in the class. This institution is not telling you that. As a faculty of this class for this time, I'm just telling you that. Okay, this is our rules, that's it, of this class. Similarly, laws are kept in a statute book, that's it. The laws today put, tomorrow next government can come and remove it. The next coming government can remove that law. Understanding? First we had a housing scheme called as Indira Awas Yojana. This current government came and changed it into something else. PM Awas Yojana. Understanding? These are all just laws, which means today it will be there, tomorrow it can be removed off. By the same party or by next coming party or the next government, anyone. But whatever we are saying, constitution, whatever we prepared in 1949, still we have the things even in 2024 and even hopefully by 2059, 2069 for years to come. This constitution means it is just a set of rules as to how India will be. Understanding? Laws, constitution, very massively different topic. Clear? Understood or not?
So to repeat that question,
What?
where are those laws?
Statute book, means statute book. That is, we have a huge government orders. And we do not technically have a physical book where we keep putting the laws. There is no such thing. GO, government order. See, per day or per year pay, we make more than 50-60 laws. Okay. From 1947 to 2024, if we kept a book, then this room is not sufficient. So we do not physically put a law somewhere. It's just a law for action. That's it. No physicality of it. Clear? Now this Constituent Assembly had to perform the role of constitution as well as legislative bodies. Write this down. That was a prelims question.
Constitution amendment is different.
That's different. We'll come to it a little bit. Clear up until here, no? Apart from this, they have some other extra activities also. Okay? Whatever I tell, write it down. They were asked for prelims. The extra chores that Constituent Assembly had to do was, first and foremost, elect the president. Okay, they had to elect the first president of Free Independent India was Rajendra Prasad. The Constituent Assembly elected the president. Second, they had to ratify India's stance with Commonwealth. They had to take national song. You can't use these. National anthem, national flag. Write this on the notes. All this was done by your Constituent Assembly. Prelims question. Pick, elect the president, ratify India's relationship with Commonwealth, pick national song, national anthem, national flag. From now onwards, all these things, you ask, no? Patriotism. You have established your country. Now, whatever you do for your country, national song, anthem, flag, patriotism. See, this is patriotism. This, right here. I won't call this ideology as nationalism. Patriotism is already established country. You're showing your love. Okay, I love my country. I'm just showing my love in different ways. Let's say you go to some other country. You're residing there. Okay. And let's say other Indian students there are being murdered. That time you will form yourself collectively and then come and ask for those people. Nationalism. Or someone is trying to slander your country. You fight for your country so that its existence will not go off. Nationalism. Understanding? Clear up until here? The other things are pretty common. You pick a song, anthem, flag, and all is fine. But Commonwealth, this guy. This guy calls himself as Master Civilizer. Apparently, if you see in your Britain history books, they do not tell that Britain captured India. Britain colonized Africa. They rather tell that British, out of its big heart, went and civilized the people of India, went and civilized the people of Africa. The concept of civilization was brought by Britain. This is what their history books tell. In real sense, they are not master civilizers, but they are master colonizers. Simple words, you can know it now. They created something called as in Commonwealth. The Commonwealth is a simple thing that all the former colonies of Britain, okay, will together come in and have a relationship with Britain. Today, if you just open your Google and type and see members of Commonwealth, you can see the list of countries are so huge, meaning those many countries this fellow has colonized. Now, don't get carried away with this term wealth, okay? It is just for a mutual relationship. The reason this guy wanted to form that was so that they will not hate this guy. They will see if a country has to continue, if this guy has to continue to survive today, imagine if all the free countries decide that this culprit was the reason why my country was put into slavery and all these things, I will not have any relationship with him, means this country will no longer exist. But to get a concept of goodwill relationship, this guy created this thing called as Commonwealth. That's it. Do not assume that there is some sort of that British is still the head of us, or British is going to take money from us, or we will give money from us. No. First and foremost thing, joining into Commonwealth was at the free will of the nations. If they wanted, they could join. India agreed to join. Understanding? Why India agreed to join? Post-independence India by direction. Clear up until here. This is important, was asked for prelims. This one constant, finished writing. Done. This one Constituent Assembly had to perform two separate set of rules. By rules, we mean two separate set of work they had. Okay. Whenever the assembly would meet for discussing any constitutional issue, okay, then that point of time the chairman was Rajendra Prasad. Okay. Whenever they met to make laws, then it would be under Malvankar. Further, I'll just show that to you. As of now, just understand this much. Same members only, okay? But they just picked a different guy to be the head of that particular meeting. Now, November 1949, our constitution was done. All right, November 10, our constitution was done in 1940. Now in here, okay, the day after it was done, your Nehru. By here onwards, if we mean Nehru, it is only Jawaharlal Nehru. Nehru moved a historic speech of objective resolution. Write that down, important. None? Clear? See, our constitution was done. Okay. Nehru gives a speech addressing the members, be it of Constituent Assembly of basically he addressed it for the entire nation, telling what does our constitution comprise, or basically like a preface. If you have a book, you have a preface as to what will be the contents of this constitution. Similarly, he spoke of something called as objective resolution, meaning what is the objective of our constitution? Understanding? So write down what objective resolution is. Done. This objective resolution was later modified as preamble. Objective resolution is nothing but a speech he will give. That same speech is now remodeled into something called as preamble. Generally in the book, where will be the contents be? In the first pages only, initial pages only. So in our constitution, preamble is at the front only, but it was adopted in the very last. I'll tell you. First, constitution. Think of it now like a book. Okay, it's a book of rules as to how the country should be, what country should be doing, and all these things. After this entire, after this entire constitution was written, it was kept inside that book. After all this is kept, last page they kept one additional page in the front, that is the preamble. Okay, when people asked why preamble was put or adopted at the last, was because they had to see the preamble was taken from this objective resolution, right? Whatever was taken and put in here should be in conformity with the constitution. Okay, if this is something and if this is something, then it will not make sense. So preamble was adopted at last to make sure it has to be in conformity with the constitution. Write it down, important. Understood? Any doubts? Clear? So all this work, 1946 it started, 1949 is somewhere it ended. Okay. Now, I told you, November 1949 itself it ended. That is, constitution was done. Here, our entire constitution, the book is there, na? Assume it like this. I have 20 sheets. This is the book of the constitution. Now, on November 1949, full constitution is done. I take 10 sheets out of the 20 sheets, put it in this book. Okay. So I say constitution came into force. Alright. But in this, constitution was adopted in parts. There are 20 pages to the constitution. Okay. I have written only 10 sheets as of now. By this date, completely 20 sheets are also done. Okay. But I take 10 sheets and put it in this book. Because I have put it into this book, meaning it's constitution only, no. The constitution came into force, no. So in the preamble, you will see constitution came into force on November 1949. Clear? But this date, right? You know what is the importance of this date? 1935. To be in conformity with that particular date, January 26, 1950. The remaining 10 pages were there, no? I put it in this book. I put all the preamble and completely I finished my constitution. And on January 26, 1950, complete constitution was adopted. When I say adopted in parts, first 10 pages I put it here. Next last remaining 10 pages I put it here. So on this particular day, our constitution came into force, meaning from this day onwards, up until, see, we said we had that Lord Mountbatten guy and all those things, no? But now onwards, we enter into the dawn where we are not guided by, that guy is telling this, Lord guy is telling, Mountbatten guy is telling, no. From now onwards, that is from Jan 26th, next day, 27th onwards, Constitution is telling this. Our people have written this, so we will be guided not by some external forces, but by our own force. So Jan 26, 1950, our complete constitution comes into force. Also, you know why this particular date was fixed for that? Why? Purna Swaraj. Our constitution was adopted in parts. People ask why Pura we could have did it in this day only. No, but we had to keep it up and coming and running because there was urgency at that period of time. So whatever was immediately needed, we put it, that first 10 pages, whatever we put it, that was very much in need at that moment. So we started that, put it and started. So our constitution was adopted in parts, meaning you understood, right? Now, this work, this constitution writing work complete 1949. Or in technicality, constitution, why do we need a constituent assembly? The whole role was constituent assembly is only constitution, right? In all other countries also, as soon as constitution came into force, constituent assembly was removed. But one specific thing about India is our constituent assembly was not only working as constituent assembly, but also legislative body. So this constituent assembly's role as a constitution maker ended in this particular date. Write that down. Done? Clear? Parliament. Okay. If we have to have a parliament, elections have to be conducted. Parliament, nothing but Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, right? For that also, elections have to be conducted. We cannot take the elections of your British India. We have to conduct elections for free India. Still, elections are not conducted, but laws have to be made on a daily basis. The same Constituent Assembly continued its lifetime up until 1952. Because 1952, first General Assembly elections was conducted. Right is on the middle. Look at this. Constitution making process ended in 1950. But Constituent Assembly still continued to function up until 1952. Okay. I told you Constituent Assembly had two works. One was making constitution, one was doing legislative or law. But this continued. Understanding? So Constituent Assembly still met as a legislative body to make laws for the country. It continues like that up until 1952 because it was after this period only our first General Assembly elections were held. And here, for the first time, the first Parliament came into function. When Parliament came into function, this role also ended. So The Constituent Assembly ceased meaning ended, ceased to be in existence in 1952. Okay. Clear up until here? Write down one small question. Continue with the same running notes only. Constituent Assembly continued to function. Constituent Assembly continued to function even though constitution making process ended. Even though constitution making process ended. Full stop. Why? So this is the same thing that we explained, right? You know it. Understanding seems like, yes, I've understood. But now when you start putting into words, see how it will come out. Okay? Start writing. Consider it like a question and write. I'll give you 10 minutes of time. Understand it? This is a question, meaning I would expect an introduction, a body, conclusion. class. Completed. So how was it writing the answer? Any issues you faced? Was it smooth? Anything, something? What is it? No? Okay, fine. We'll move ahead. So 1952, Constituent Assembly ended its role as both Constituent Assembly as well as legislative body. When did its role end? Constituent Assembly's role, if the prelims question is, when did the existence of Constituent Assembly end? When did the role of Constituent Assembly end in constitution making? When did the role of Constituent Assembly's legislative making or law making end? Clear, no? No doubts on this. Parliament came in place, Constituent Assembly ended, general elections happened. Here. Now we enter into this so-called constitution that they took so many years to create. Constitution, we still have a book that is physically in the form of a book. Whenever new things are added, we just write it in nice form of calligraphy. Now look at this. We start with the same index. Preamble. Okay. I'll show you the preamble later. But there are certain things very specific that you have to know about this preamble. First and foremost, you have to by heart the entire preamble. Who don't have a choice. Okay. There are some unnecessary things, I'll tell you when and where you don't, but there are some very important things that you have. This you have to by heart. Prelims pay, it is mandatory as well as in these. First and foremost, we the people of India. Okay, write this word. Your preamble begins with these words. We the people of India. Who made the constitution? Excellent. Constituent Assembly. How was the Constituent Assembly elected? Proportional representation, but also one thing, indirectly. Meaning, did people directly elect them? Right? That is why it's called indirect. But here the preamble starting word states that we the people of India have given ourselves this constitution, meaning this constitution, see today in India or for any more years to come, many parliaments can come, many executives can come, many prime minister, presidents, everyone can come. But everyone is under the constitution only. Okay. Every single body created by government, okay. If government body is only under this, means some private body also automatically. Every single government body, private body, any other things, all come under your constitution. Be it your PM, CM, president, any person. Everyone comes under your constitution only, which means this is the superior most law of the land. Constitution is the law of our land. When something is having so much power, then for any source of power, there is a question in polity. Where does it derive its power? Where does it derive its power? Which means this is the most all-strengthened body in the so-called land of India. Then where is it deriving its power? This is a prelims question. This word that we have put in the beginning of our constitution, this indicates that the constitution derives the power directly from the people of India. Understanding? The Almighty Constitution is so powerful because it receives the power from the people. Write this down. Prelims question, time and again I'm repeating. Done? Clear? Whenever elections are done, if you have heard of this word, they have the popular support. This means just famous in normal terms. Popular means what? Famous, no? But in polity, popular means people support. Write this down. Okay. Before we proceed further, there's just one word I'll introduce. We'll discuss detailed, right? But now, sovereignty or sovereign. Okay. Here, understand it like superiority for your understanding. Constitution is powerful, yes, compared to any body in the India. Now, where does the Constitution derive its power? When I said government authorities, I said Prime Minister, Chief Minister, Lok Sabha, Raj Sabha, President. All of this is below Constitution. Okay. Now I will use a statement. You answer this. India is popular sovereignty and not parliamentary sovereignty. Write that statement down. India has and follows popular sovereignty over parliamentary sovereignty. Read this question, come to an understanding and tell me what does this statement mean and is it a yes or no? What is it?
Rule of people.
Okay.
So directly the sovereignty we are getting from the people.
So the statement is correct. Anyone else feels otherwise? See that popular sovereignty, again, the people are having the highest authority. Whereas in countries like Britain, present day Britain, they have parliamentary sovereignty, which means for them the head is parliament. Here, where is parliament coming? Above or below constitution? So, constitution is at the head. Where is the people ahead of constitution? Is it above or below? Because it is deriving its power only from the people, means the people are having the priority. So, now if I put here is the popular sovereignty, is popular sovereignty important for us or parliamentary? Parliamentary means this three together only. Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, President put together is called parliament, right? Is parliamentary having more power or popular having more power? So, India follows popular sovereignty over parliamentary sovereignty. Did you understand this? Write it down. This is very important for your prelims as well as mains. Elaborate it, write it like this. I don't understand whatever you do it, but you have to understand this topic very clearly, because further onwards we will just use those words. Popular sovereignty, parliamentary sovereignty. We won't be explaining it everywhere.
Actually, we can say so, but then practically, like, does this popular sovereignty exist?
Yes. How do you think people are going into the parliament? If election or if that thing is removed, will there be existing something called as parliament? You are telling based on power and all those things. See, no. Still, be it in theoretical or practical purposes, popular sovereignty is always there in India compared to parliamentary. Again, here parliament I'm telling, which means Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha as well as president. Not of a particular PM or a particular minister. All of their powers are very much checked and balanced. Further onwards in the particular topics you will see. So either theoretically or practically, India strictly adheres to popular sovereignty. Okay, in any country for that matter, do the elected people have more power? That is always questioned and debatable, because if that was there, then we would enter of ideal state. In reality, ideal state can never be attained. That is why it's reality. So, but according to us, be it in theory, practice, or in version of practical, all the versions we follow only popular sovereignty. Is that clear? The same thing has to be, you have to use it even in interview. You will not debate it otherwise. You can, but you will dig your own grave. Okay? There are certain sections do not touch. Do not go against the interviewer. The person sitting in front of you is 100 times more in knowledge of practical experience, and still he believes this means you are not that experienced enough to fight his experience. So if he believes this, you just stick to it. Clear? We the people of India. So the deriving power of authority is the people. Okay, where is our constitution deriving power from? Okay, now it created, this preamble also created the nature of Indian state. Read it out. The preamble also contains the nature of Indian state. The words being sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. Sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. Done? We'll explain each one of these. First and foremost, sovereign. 1858 pe I said there was something called as Good Governance Act. They used the word, or I used it. British paramountcy, British suzerainty, or British sovereignty. Meaning India was under the sovereign of Britain. Whenever we use this word sovereign, this is India. within India or outside India. We do not have any overhead masters. India ka master is India only. We had to make sure we put this because we were under the sovereign of a British. Understanding? So it was like British and then India. We were a part of British. At least that's what they claim. But when we say we are a sovereign country or any country when it calls itself sovereign, meaning there is no other country or force or power that is above its country, which will rule that particular country. We are a sovereign body, meaning all the rules of India within as well as outside is made by us only. Understood? Simpler terms, may write that down in the way of understood. Keep it simple. Done? Under this sovereignty also, we are not parliamentary sovereignty. That is when it comes to within India, the head is not the parliamentary sovereignty, but rather the people. First and foremost, now here there are some doubts I'll clarify. Usually the question is about which book to use for polity. Either you can pick up Lakshmikant or D.D. Basu. One thing about the book is filled with informations. A lot of informations. Okay. Now, so we're speaking about preamble. Next, we'll speak about union and its territories, and also there'll be a lot of things as to this state attained statehood that time. This particular person was the union minister. Everything when you read for the first time will look like important. Okay, and don't go ahead the mistake of doing underlining the things the very first time you read it. You still don't know what is important, what is not important. And also, whatever is in the book, okay, there is enormous amount of information. Practically speaking, you are not going to retain that information, nor are you going to use that information. What is needed from prelims as well as mains perspective pair is done here. Additional information, the facts, whichever are there, if you want, just go through it, read it once. No issues. Okay, you go through it, read it. There are certain things where you will feel like this is important that I have to by heart. If you start going on that loop, that entire book will seem like, I have to by heart. Now, during this Constituent Assembly, there will be, your book will have content such as who was the Union Powers Minister, who was the Steering Minister, who was the Home Minister, Finance Minister, and all these things. Time and again, prelims pay very rarely, they have asked questions, but that is because they would have been in use in that particular year. You can just go through it once. If you are able to by heart, you by heart. If you cannot by heart, well and good, there is no such harm. Okay. And also when we keep doing these classes, you will see too much unnecessary information. So don't break your head thinking this book pay that is there, this book pay this is there, and don't use two sources. Don't pick both the textbooks and start reading from both. Pick any one. Okay, pick just one, stick to that one. Don't come under the assumption I will finish this book, then I will read that book, and then I'll read another book. It's not really needed. And first of all, polity itself is too much. Content wise. Second thing, no matter how much content is given in the exam, only your understanding is the one that will come to your aid. So classes are the most crucial thing. Okay. And don't bother about all the unnecessary facts that is jumbled through the book, and you don't have to by heart all those. There are certain things that I'll tell you, you have to by heart. There is no other way than just by heart at all. Because you will directly use that in your mains paper. Clear? I told you there was a question on preamble in the very beginning. Sometimes, usually this happens. You have forgotten about preamble. Write down the entire preamble. Okay? Write down the entire preamble. I'll show it to you in the end. Then dissect it segment wise. Because whatever is there in the preamble, that only you will have to dissect and write about it. Irrespective of what they were expecting, you've written it all down. So they are bound to give you marks. Understanding? So there are certain things like this which you have to know, that I will keep informed. Preamble, got by heart. Coming to sovereignty. Sovereignty, I told there is no other external force above us, meaning no other country, no other force, no other section, okay? No other continent. On top of India is India only. Understood? Understand it in very simple statements in the book. As and when you keep going, it appears like a hillhead tasks. And also they like to complicate things a little bit. So straightforward things will be a lot complicated. Don't worry about it. Done? Next. Socialist. Initially, the preamble did not have this word. It was only sovereign, secular, democratic republic. In the 42nd amendment, that was during the 1970s. When we say amendment, meaning change, okay? Any changes. In the 42nd amendment, this word socialist was added. When I say 42nd amendment, meaning 41 times constitution, they've already made some changes. Okay, when I say 42nd amendment, 73rd amendment, 74th amendment. Now, for example, let's say 101st amendment, meaning there have been 100 amendments, 100 changes before this. This is the 101st change. So this is the 42nd change where they introduced a word called socialist into the preamble. So now I ask the statement, was the preamble amended? Can the preamble be amended? Yeah. Again, that terms and conditions will apply, later we'll discuss. Okay. The word socialist was not there in the constitution, it was added. Write that down. Clear? At that period of time, okay? This happened in the period of 1970s. Your book doesn't specify anything about why this word was added in this period, but your interview will tend to ask. 1949 pe something that was not important, why suddenly 1970s pe they are adding? What happened so much in 1950 to 1970 that they felt that this word has to be added? This period, if you look at it, okay, this was Second World War period. World War ended, but it is still Second World War period. Okay. Now, any country, including any portion in the world, even now or years later, immediately after the war, one thing the countries try to do is restructuring. Okay. So, the world was in the restructuring phase. But post 1950, world fell into another loop. That is Cold War era. We fell into something called as Cold War era. Second World War created two most strong bodies. Your First World War created almighty your Britain. It became so much strengthened was after your First World War. Your Second World War period of time, aftermath of Second World War, that is end of Second World War, your once so-called mighty Britain was now torn and thrown into pieces. It was no longer powerful. But two new powers came into force. What is it? USA and USSR, or your Soviet Union. 1950 immediately world fell into the loop of Cold War era. As we progress this period, we are in the brink of bipolarity or bipolar world. Okay. When I say bipolar world, which means these two are the most strongest forces on earth at that point of time. This was the outcome. Okay, but in here, they're starting to fight as to who is going to be the most powerful. So for that, they are trying to pick allies. Okay, they are trying to pick allies, meaning who will side with whom. Lastly, we'll see formation of NATO, Warsaw, international relations, where everything will be discussed. This formed NATO, this formed Warsaw. So they are trying to fight. If this fellow ally, then this fellow will always be ready to fight. Or if this fellow ally is there, and if this guy wants to go fight with him, the entire organization is ready to fight. I'll tell you one simple current affair example that will be useful for you. You know Ukraine. Ukraine war is going on for over 2 years. You know how it started?
You didn't want to join that one.
NATO. Russia and Ukraine are close proximate. They are at very close. Ukraine wanted to get the membership of NATO. If it gets the membership of NATO, meaning if Russia attacks Ukraine at that point of time, after it has got the membership, then all of these members will collectively come and pounce on this guy. This guy cannot survive. But now this guy can. This guy has to make sure that this guy doesn't get this. This was how it started. This dates back to this period. Your 1970s, we are in the midst of a bipolar world where we have to pick sides. That's what they created us. Your USSR was following something called as communism. Okay, where state owns everything, no private property. Your USA was following capitalism, where largely individuals own everything. At this period of time, we would have continued as it is, but again, this neighbor, that guy won't leave. This Pakistan guy came to attack us. Once we gave Bangladesh war. In this period, we had to go pick each one of them for help. And neither is ready to help because there is ideological warfare happening. See, 1914, that is the First World War period of time, the war was for colonies. 1942, the war was for who will gain control of resources. 1970s onwards, war was for only one thing, even presently. It is a war of ideological era. Write those things down. These things are not in the books, but will be expected in the interview for you to have a well-informed knowledge. Today, we are in a period or phase of war of ideological era. We fight for ideologies. Done? Meaning, at that point of time, we had to pick USA or USSR. India being a new formed country, when beginning in the inception itself, they asked us, join one of us. We said, no, we will pick NAM. Meaning non-alignment movement. Initially, 1950s itself, when we formed itself, they asked, join us. We told, no, we'll come up with NAM. 1954, we were done with NAM, meaning we will not join with USA, we will not join with USSR. The most country which were new formed nation all joined this. Okay, this was 1950s, we averted that crisis. 1970s, again, we got that crisis where this Pakistan dude came running at us fighting. Again, we have to go ask for help. Whichever side we pick, which means we had to pick to that idealism. But here, capitalism completely private owned, communism completely or state owned. Amidst this, India felt that this is also too extreme. This is also too extreme, not suited for India. Mix of these two, we brought it in the form of socialism, which favors mixed economy. Meaning, in socialism, there is also state-owned, there is also private. Now, one thing with the state owned is, this state will be concerned with the welfare activities. Meaning, yes, whoever has the ability, they can do private owned, make money, everything. But there are certain section of people who are dying out of hunger, who are not getting medicines, who are not getting vaccines. All those roles will be taken up by state. Today you have midday meal scheme. Today you have PDS system, public distribution system, ration shops. Today you have RTE, right to education, compulsory education up until the age of 14 years, or that is up until your 10th standard. This is the role of state. So we picked socialism at that period of time, not just as a political agenda, but also this was the things that was going on behind. This is why we added it in the 42nd Amendment, socialism. Just one word, see the implication it has. Understanding? Write this down.
Was also added in 40.
But I'll tell you the story later.
Only reason for this word to add is because of what we found.
No. That was the political reason of it.
So in this period only, it like came into existence.
Yes.
Around what?
But you cannot tell it was added because of war. That you cannot mention. Write on the history of it. Right now, it'll appear like you've understood. Done? Clear up until here? Any doubts? So you understood socialist? Alright. Any doubts? See now, if you look at it, this is where things changed a little bit. Your 42nd Amendment added, actually, if you see the overall changes they did, socialist, secular, and integrity. 3 words were added. Okay, just write it down. I'll tell you. 3 words were added to the preamble. Nothing was removed, but they were just added, which is socialist, secular, and integrity. Okay. See, one thing about this particular word is, this word whether added or not, it wouldn't have made any difference. Because from this period of time itself, since the time our constitution came into effect itself, ours was going to be a secular constitution, and we have made sure, even in our fundamental rights you will start, meaning the rights which are so fundamental that constitution itself is giving the individual the rights. In that, we have clearly made sure that Indian constitution is a secular constitution. Okay. So without the addition of this word also, India was a secular country. India is a secular country. Here secularism is a very different concept. Later in secularism we'll explain. But did you understand secularism, whether added or not, it wouldn't have made any difference. Clear? Why? Because the strengthening of it was given in your fundamental rights. Now secularism. Okay. Secularism was a very simple concept. It meant that state and religion, they will not interfere in each other's work. That's all. Is secularism. State will not interfere in religious matters. Religion will not interfere in state matters. This secularism is a Western concept. Okay. This is a Western concept because at that point of time, again dating back to 14th century, up until then, the religion, for example, the Pope, okay, the head of religious institution would tell how the country had to be run. To cut that thing down, they said, no, we will separate these two. We will separate state, we will separate religion. Okay, state and religion should do their own affairs, they should not mix. For that purpose, they introduced this concept of secularism or Western model of secularism. It is not an Indian concept. Understanding? Right on up until here, all the words that I used, it's important. I'll tell you why. This topic and the next examples and all we'll use, it will be very, very useful to you in your essay, irrespective of what the question is. When you have to take a political perspective of essay, this is what you will write. Clear? I told you this is a Western model. Now we'll introduce this Indian guy. Who said that? Values and ethics cannot be separated. Religion cannot be separated from politics. Religion and politics cannot be separated. Just write down these things, then I'll explain. Done? See here, by religion, do not blindly take what this word means. This guy, again, I told you, master diplomat, he mentioned religion, but he never ever in any of his things mentioned which religion. And here by religion, he means something called as human religion or nothing but your values and ethics. Okay. This concept, somewhere loosely on this concept, is our secularism. A little bit I'll explain. Look at this. Western model of secularism states that state and religion strictly separate. Okay. No one will interfere with each other. This is called as negative secularism. You cannot use this thing. You have to fully use the word. I will use it, you will not use it. You have to write NEGATIV. Understood? The version where state and religion will not interfere with each other are called as negative secularism. Now, do not assume negative secularism means bad. Okay, do not assume that. Please write that also down if you want. Negative secularism doesn't mean bad. It just means it is restrictive. It's just restricting. In polity, negative positive doesn't mean good bad. It means which is giving more scope for openness, which is creating a lot of restriction. Here they are restricted to fall into each other's category. Yes, state has to strictly do state work. It has to not interfere in religion. Religion has to do strictly religious work. It should not interfere in state. Clear up until here? That is why it is called negative secularism. It doesn't mean it's bad. Understood? Please write that down. Very, very important. Okay. Now, there comes another version of secularism, which is positive secularism. Right? This positive secularism, whatever we are telling, it's usually for Indian perspective only. And ours is very unique. State can interfere in religious matters. Okay? That doesn't mean religion can interfere in state matters. First. Second thing, state will interfere in religion, but it will not tell which religion. It will interfere in all religious matters. Let's say there is a religion A, there's a religion B, there's a religion C. This state will interfere in all of their matters. One example, a religion called your Hinduism. Okay. Again, this becomes a debated topic, but for administrative purposes, it is said that Hinduism practiced sati. Okay, I'm not telling, don't come to me telling how did Hinduism practice sati and all. No, this is for administrative purposes we're talking. In this religion where this particular practice was practiced. Okay. State tells that any version or practice of this is completely banned. Okay. Let's say another religion B. It tells that according to my religion, it is mandatory that I marry off girls at the age of 15 years. Now this state, see if let's say for example there is this A religion, B, C, D, all these religions are there. If the state keeps interfering only in this religion matters, this will feel like, no, I am being cornered by this guy. That is why state will say, no, open it, you will interfere in all of your religions. If the B religion tells that, I will interfere in yours also. If the B religion tells that 15 years, I will get that person, a girl child married. The state will tell, no, you cannot do that. I will interfere. Okay. Let's say C religion tells that according to my religion, it is a mandatory for me to practice. Let's say, I'm not going to explain what this is. You will Google it. It is one of the horrors created on human history. Okay. Female genital mutilation. All these things are there, apparently. And the religion C also tells that, no, I am going to make sure that, okay, in my religion customs according to this, I will also practice the concept of, let's say, girls and that and this, any such thing in the name of religion. If they tell that, state will tell, I will follow for that also and tell, I will ban all these things. Okay, anyone who claims it under their religion and performs social ills and evils. One of the things is, see, no religion is bad. No religion has come up with the concept to inflict pain to other people. But in the name of religion, few fanaticists, okay, fanaticism meaning they interpret religion in their own way and try to bring things telling, no, our religion doesn't permit this. Now, there is a country that tells that, no, according to our religion, okay, according to our country, women should not get education. No, the religion is not doing that mistake. Few fanatists are doing that mistake. Okay, all this time, the state will interfere into the religious affairs and ban it, and they cannot tell, why are you interfering in my religion? If you are a secular country, then you shouldn't interfere. But now, India's version of positive secularism, the state will interfere and also will ban. First thing. Second part of positive secularism is, let's say this particular D religion. They are in minorities, minor number. They have their religious places. Okay. But this particular section of people, okay, they are not having enough money, okay, to go see their places. At that point of time, our state will sponsor for them to go visit their religious shrines, places of worship. Not just for this, but for all of this. So we promote the religion and also we try to remove the social ills and evils. Both these are the most important concepts of positive secularism. One thing, we are promoting, okay, and we are also making sure we remove the social ills and evils. One most important thing is we promote all religions, not one single religion. This version of secularism is positive secularism, which is an Indian concept. Somewhere it lies on these roots. This topic, you will use it largely in your essay. Whenever you mention political perspective of essay, if you're taking, you have to analyze it in all perspectives. Political party, you will use this. And also it is very important for your polity. Write this down, deeply explain it in your own notes. Done? Which leads me to the next question. How many guys in the class know what meftol is? How many boys in the class know what a meftol is? How many girls in the class know what a meftol is? All right. See, from now onwards, that is from this stage onwards, try to be aware of things, issues faced by the other section of your gender. Or now again here, I'm not using the sex, which is a biological one. I'm using the version gender. Article 15 of yours speaks about sex, but it doesn't speak about just gender. But I'm telling you to know about this because gender is something your society has created, not biology or nature has created. When this has created this, the questions that will be posed to you is also on this. Meaning, if you're going to become, let's say, a district magistrate of a particular district, they are not going to think of you as a male candidate or a female candidate. Irrespective of who you are there for all the people in your district. Which means the questions which are nowadays coming, especially see we've started preparing people for means and interview and all. Most of them don't even know what the struggles are. When I give you women empowerment, this is one of the topics that not just a particular politician in the Indian politics speaks, but also a very strong-held topic in your UPSC. When we tell them write about women empowerment, meaning you have to write about women's struggles and all these things. 50%, this is an alarming rate, are still writing women's problems means something like dowry, bride burning, sati. Contemporary issues have become very much higher. If you don't even know that and you're writing that, okay, this makes people question and think, how is this person aware? And from now onwards, think of yourself as not just UPSC aspirants, but as a person who's going to do something, bring a change in the society, whether you get in or not. So you have to be aware of things and not be too squeamish and feeling, oh, that's a tabooistic topic. This is a female topic. This is a woman topic. Don't get falling into the gender stereotypes. Okay. So from now onwards, because again in polity now they are doing drug regulation. That is coming under your current affairs, which you have to relate it with your static topic to talk about. Your static has to be compared with the current affair. Slowly I'll teach you how that also, but for that you have to, on your part, little bit become aware on what the issues are. So when you're going to write a question on women empowerment and you still give the age-old things, that is whichever was there in 18, I'm not telling whatever happened in 1840s is not happening now, but now issues are added. And if you don't know that, or if your knowledge is very limited, it becomes very difficult. Understanding, especially from polity, because you have multiple laws coming in. All the social issues will come out in the name of laws or bills. That is very important for you in polity perspective. Clear? So our version of secularism is Indian version of positive secularism. Clear? Any doubts on this? Yes, no, or am I just keeping on talking? Still for this also no. Then we come to democratic. Pretty much, demo refers nothing but rule by people. So I'm going to pose a question. Indirect elections are not a feature of democracy. Yes or no? Indirect elections are not a feature of democracy. Direct elections are the feature of democracy. Irrespective of how the election is, okay, it is democratic. Is all elections democratic? Then we have to call China, North Korea, and all those things as democratic, which they are not. But they call themselves. When you say democratic, there are a couple of instruments that democracy uses in the name of referendum. Write that down. Referendum. Plebiscite. Initiative. Recall. Referendum, plebiscite, initiative, recall are all the tools of democracy. Done. All these are all prelims based. All these comes under your democratic system. Referendum, meaning any question which comes to a country, which is of a national importance that all of its people have to decide. Okay, then it's called referendum. I'll explain it with an example. For example, Britain made a decision whether it should exit from EU. Okay, for that issue, instead of just the political people taking the decision, they decided, no, this is a people's issue. So we will keep this issue in front of people. Whatever they will decide, that will be our decision. So referendum means you are giving the decision making to the people. In the referendum, people decided, yes, we should exit from EU. That is the word you will see in newspaper as Brexit. Britain exiting EU. Referendum means decisions are given to the people. Write it with an example what I gave you. Done? Here up until here, any doubts? Next, plebiscite. This is usually used during partition times. Plebiscite means this was tried to conduct it for your Jammu and Kashmir region also, but still we are deciding that Jammu and Kashmir issue we should resolve through plebiscite, but the issue is referendum and plebiscite seem similar, but plebiscite is strictly used for partition times. Let's take this place of Jammu and Kashmir, where you ask the people whether you want to go to Pakistan or whether you want to go to India. Whichever one they pick, then this will go there. But the issue that Pakistan was doing was, no, only Muslims should vote here. That is, only they should be part of plebiscite. This was the issue. Indian said, no, all the people of Jammu and Kashmir should vote. Pakistan said, no, only the Muslims should. That is the issue. That's why we couldn't conduct the plebiscite. But this I'm giving it as an example so you can understand it better. Referendum and plebiscite seem similar, but plebiscite is used only for partition. Referendum is used for any things, any decision that, so you can tell referendum is more broader. Yeah. Write it down with the examples because now it seems understandable. Later, I don't want you to get confused. Fine. Understood? Next. Initiative. See, I told you. Finish that. Okay? Yeah. Initiative. Meaning a bill. I don't know, it has to be either introduced in any one of the houses, be it Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. In the case of initiative, people themselves initiate an idea and tell the elected representatives to follow that. See, these are the tools of democratic country. That doesn't mean every democratic country should follow this. Okay, there are many countries which follow it, there are many countries which do not follow it. We ourselves don't follow majority of these things. Okay, initiative means people themselves will come up with the idea for a bill and they themselves will introduce it and tell the people to introduce and make this into an act or a law. Meaning, tomorrow, if I decide, the people themselves are deciding, no, we all have to wear same colored uniform so that we will remove the concept of upper class, lower class, that caste, this caste. So we'll all wear uniforms. This idea will be popped by the people to the elected members and tell, make this into an act. So here the initiative itself is coming from people. The idea of the bill is coming from the people. The more of our case per live example means, for example, your Lokpal and Lokayukta corruption bill, anti-corruption bill ke liye we made an initiative. Bring this into a law. Done? Okay. Next is recall. If this is the one thing that is there for people everywhere, whichever is to be called a democratic country, then it will truly become democratic. Now, once you elect, now election happened, you have elected your member. That guy goes to the parliament. You see that fellow is doing no work. He is not being helpful for people. Then the people have an option of recall where they will remove him from his position and he can be immediately taken off. But our system, once you elect it, then you see him after next 5 years. That is not the case here. If you feel that that guy is not doing his duty properly, then the people have the ability to remove him as a member or a parliament, member of parliament or anything. Basically strip him off from his position or recall his position. That is why many countries will not have this. But this is one of the truly most powerful democratic tools. Done? So this is democratic. The last nature is republic. Okay. The opposite of a republic is monarchy. straight contrast of republic is monarchy. Okay. Here we will compare it with the British model. British has parliamentary sovereignty, which means parliament is all powerful, but still they have one head of state. That is monarchy, meaning it could be either a king or queen. And also this post is hereditary. Understood? Up until here it's fine. But India has faced, okay, whatever we call as generational trauma or historical trauma. Constantly we have been subject. If you look through your coins, old coins, 1 rupee, 2 rupee coins, you'll find the figurines of few, maybe the queen or maybe some lords. Okay. Based on that particular topic, India has had this historical trauma or generational trauma where a person who doesn't even belong to this land became the head of state of this land. Okay. For that purpose, we have made ours republic, meaning an Indian person of Indian soil, whether rich or poor. Okay. The reason we made it republic meaning, see, again, they're not telling, pick a poor person and make him republic. No. If a person of even the lowermost strata, okay, if he has the ability to become the head of state, then he can become the head of state because he does not come from any class, caste, any such things. See, this concept of republic means head of state. Here it's our president. President is the head of state, right? Usually for India, the president is a very, very symbolic figure. Here, the president doesn't have like real power compared to prime minister. But this president, who that person is, how that person's background is, reflects a lot on that particular country. Because it provides a hindsight that irrespective of which particular tribe, for example, you be a scheduled tribe, for example, you be a scheduled caste, for example, you be from a lower section of family, for whatever section of family, life, generation you are from, you have the ability to become the head of state, meaning my state values these features over this concept of monarchy, hereditary, king, queen, hierarchical, bureaucracial, or any such things which you say feudalism, that this. All this we're trying to tell is send a clear message to republic is used as a means to send a message to the future generations that you can win irrespective of whatever is your upbringing or whatever is your lineage. India lays huge stress to this. So we have a head of state, but that head of state is neither belonging to any hierarchical or any family or any ancestry. Anyone can become the head of state. Write this down with the meaning as to why we had to pick republic. India by head of state is not a very high, mighty, powerful position, but it sends a message to the generations as to what kind of society is Indian society. These kind of words, when you use, be it an interview or mains, your answer gets brownie points. Because you're talking of this as a personified version. Done? Clear up until here? I told in the beginning of the class, if preamble is there, you have to write. You have to write 4 points. Let's say sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. Okay? Then we have to allot you marks like 2 marks, 2 marks, 2 marks. You have to write down about these things. In case if you write the entire answer because you've forgotten the other 4 and you just write only about the sovereign portions for a 10-mark question and expect 10 marks, then we are not at a position, no matter how much we have written about sovereign, we are tied to give you marks more than what is to be awarded because the marks were distributed like this. Most people feel like, yeah, I've written a very good damn up answer. Why did I end up with such bad marks in mains? Is because of this. We have strict orders as to how are the marks segregated because they themselves have given it like that. Clear? This is what I meant in the beginning class when I said the marks are distributed. Irrespective, and most times it happens that you would have forgotten. Let's say you remember all this week, but you just forgot secular. And you have written a very excellent answer. Still, I cannot give you marks because this marks is cut down here. And for all these, I cannot give you full 2 on 2 on 2. So I cannot just give you 8 marks. 8 marks is like a big dream. Okay? Now you understood what I meant. There are certain things that you have to cover in your answer. What those are, when those are, I will keep telling as and when time comes. Clear up until here? Understood? Any doubts? Anything you don't understand? Done?